If you look at Diedrich today, there is a lot going on. And if you turn the clock back 25 years, it was like a lot of little towns in Illinois and in America. Nothing was really going on, except that there was a group of people determined to make something happen in Diedrich. Well, I was inadvertently a part of the beginning of this thing when I think it was Delbert that invited me to talk to the Ruritan Club in Diedrich about economic development. And in the course of that, I just made an offhand comment that in order to develop your community, one of the things you have to have is a good source of clean water.
And there was a problem, locally in basically western Jasper and eastern Effingham County. Several of the men realized that we didn't have a good, plentiful water supply. And then also the village of Diedrich was always running into water problems, especially in the summertime, because of drier weather and demand would increase. So those two things really caused a lot of awareness that something had to be done.
And of course, Diedrich didn't have no extra water. And in fact, they were out of water at times. And what was deeply concerned to us was the school, our school, community school. And it needed water for the kids, not only to drink, but for overall purposes. So, of course, we also had Tom Byers on there too. And it's amazing, he gave us about 18 steps on how to form a real water system. We hadn't even thought of a real water system. We were just thinking of Diedrich primarily to begin with. 10 miles back then we thought was like from here to Chicago. And that was really outstanding. So we needed, we had the organization now of Ruritan, so we need to kind of inform the public what we do. So we had an informational meeting down at St. John's Lutheran Church here.
It's been 25 years, so I can't remember all the details in perfection, but I remember the concept like it was yesterday. We had to get several people signed up, and we were given an informational packet at that first meeting to go out in our own neighborhoods and try to get people signed up. The original gambling fee, as we called it then, was $50.
And it's an interesting meeting, but to my disappointment, except for the panelists and Chuck Hartke, not one person came up and said, well, it's a possibility.
I went to the very first meeting up at Grove when they decided to start it. And I came home and told my wife, I said, well, that sounds great, but it's never going to happen. They want millions of dollars, And I didn't know how things worked. But because of Delbert, they actually got their money. And then, this is a dry area. People don't have water. So we didn't have problems getting people to sign up. When they'd have these meetings, they'd be 150 people there.
But people just kept signing up. And we would have meetings in different areas to give them a chance to sign up and to show them where we thought the lines were going to be.
Everyone would grab a packet, fill it out, and send the check in. And it just exploded at the start.
When we had the opportunity to get EJ, water went from being a major concern and something we talked about a lot. Because if we had company, we had to make sure we had bought nice and hauled drinking water from our church or my parents. I mean, it was horrible. It went from that to turning on the tap and a non-event.
It really helped to change land prices around, because ground that was worth a few $100s an acre not too many years before that suddenly was worth thousands of dollars an acre. If somebody thought you could build a house on the knob out there, had a high spot in it, that's all it took. You had water. And now the two small farms that I have, there's an EJ water line Actually, the main is crossing both of those farms, and if you don't have water, you don't have anything.
I guess when I was growing up, like any other farm boys, we did our chores, and water was always one of the big concerns. And another concern was me, always when we would talk about problems, it seemed like nobody would ever do anything. You know, they just talk and talk, and nothing ever happened. I always pushed for there has to be a solution, there has to be a way of doing it.
You know, the future generations, they're not going to know the name of Delbert Munt. They're not going to know P.B. Finley. They're not going to know those other folks. But, you know, your goal in life is to leave the community a better place than when you came. And I think there's been numerous people involved in E.J. Water that can hold their heads high and say, I helped build that.
I view the whole story of EJ to be more of a story of you know, seeing a problem, sacrificing to make the greater good something better than it was before.